Yes, welcome. I'm glad you made the decision to participate in these videos, which tells me that you want to be a transformational force as a speaker and as a trainer and a coach, and I really commend you for that choice. And I want you to participate. I want this to be an interactive video series. So if you have any questions on anything that I say, you want to post comments or whatever, please interact as much as you can on this video page. Some of the videos that I shoot will be determined on some of the comments or questions that you have for me. So in this video, we're going to be talking about, can you do it? And the answer is yes, you can do it. And there's a lot of people that want to help you. But to be honest with you, the first few months in your career and your business are the most important parts to put together. It's the most important time that you've got to create foundation, and you have to really start the right way. In my experience, I think it's, the first 6 months is what's going to make it or break it in people's career. Very few people are going to struggle their way through 6 months and still be around with enough money to keep going, with enough energy to keep going, with enough confidence to keep going. So I really want to help you, especially those of you that are just starting out. I really want to help you get going on the right foot. But before we get into all of this stuff and how you create confidence as a coach, I want to talk to you a little bit about my story. I know some of you know my story and some of the details, but I would say that most of you probably don't. I've been coaching for about 6 years, 5.5 to 6 years. And the way I got into coaching, I didn't decide one day that I want to be a coach. I just decided, or I was in a seminar one time, November of 2005, and it was a couple months after BTS in the summer of 2005 when I got really clear on what my purpose is and that I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I decided that I wanted to speak. I decided that I had a message that I wasn't, getting out there. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose on this planet. And so in November of 2005, I was at a business seminar and we were doing business goals about how much money we want to make and so forth. And I hadn't started a business at that point in time. I just knew that I wanted to be a speaker. So I was writing some goals down on the paper and I just became overwhelmed with fear and pain and tears. And I started crying like a baby and I couldn't talk. And the facilitator took me outside of the room and he did a process with me, did a little guided visualization with me. And in about 15 minutes, he helped me identify what the biggest core issue was for me, which at that time, was a limiting belief called I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. And I've been studying this world of limiting beliefs for the last 6 years, ever since that time. And I think about 95 to 98% of us have an I'm not enough belief. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. I'm just not enough. And he helped me identify that and get rid of it in about a 15-minute period of time. So I came home and my wife barely recognized me and my friends barely recognized me and they were like, what are you on and how do I get some? And so I ended up calling this guy back, Matt, and I said, I don't know what you did to me. Don't care if it's illegal. You better tell me what that was because everybody wants me to do it to them. And he said, it's this thing called neuro-linguistic programming. Go over here. This guy's coming into town. Go get certified. And I just went. I just followed that path because that's where he took me. And then when I, learned about the mind and the unconscious, specifically the unconscious mind, how we create beliefs and, how we create our patterns and our strategies and all these things about the mind, then I just wanted to share it with so many people. So I started speaking, started talking to Mary Kay ladies and local groups and so forth. And I just kind of backed into becoming a coach. And over the last 5.5 years, there's been some ups and there's been some downs. But we've been, pretty successful. Actually, let me show you something. Because before I started filming this video, I took a look in our shopping cart because I was just curious about some of the numbers. I don't really pay attention to money, like the money that we've made and so forth. But I wanted to see what we had made. And I was actually really surprised. We've done $1.1 million basically since June or July of 2006. So in about 5.5 years, we've done about $1.1 million. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that to impress you by any means, because truly that number doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't want it to mean anything to you. If you're in this business to make a lot of money, I think you should get out of this business. You'll make a lot of money when you help a lot of people. I think it was Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn said you can have everything that you want if you help another people get what they want. And in this business, if you're run by dollars and cents, I just don't think you're going to be, you're not coming from the right place. It's about serving other people, and your income is going to be reflective of how many people you serve. So I'm not sharing this to to impress you on any level, but to share with you where I've been, so you know a little bit more about me, where some of this knowledge that I'm going to be teaching over the next several weeks in these videos, where it's coming from. Now, I'd love to tell you that we started off here and then we had just a nice, easy ride to past the $1 million mark over the course of 5 years, but it wasn't like that. And I was actually quite amused at the numbers when I was looking at it just a moment ago. Here's what our journey looks like. In 2006, we made a little bit of money. We made like $25,000 in 2006, which I was fired up about. This brand new career that I can actually make money in. And then 2007, I did a lot of things right. I started to market on the internet. I started to get really clear on who my market was and what I could give them. And I started to do a lot of seminars and learned how to do coaching programs, how to design coaching programs, and we did really well. We did over $300,000, about $320,000 or so in 2007. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was spending too much time away from my wife and from my kids. And so basically at the end of 2007, I said, I don't want to do that. And I kind of unplugged from a lot of the things that had created that money. So as a result, in 2008, our income went way down there. I think we did like $200,000 in 2008. And because I hadn't figured out what I had done wrong, our income continued to go down. And we did, I think, $140,000 in 2009. Then I figured it out. And then I started to put back in place some of the things that worked. I started to come from a place of value. What is it that do I want to bring forth into the world? How can I serve people? What do I want to do? Not what can I do to make a paycheck, but how can I be significant to people? And so I started to come from a place of inside out, basically. And then we started to go back up again. And the last couple of years have been pretty good. I think we finished this year at almost $250,000. But here's the thing. Now, again, none of this is meant to impress you. It was actually kind of comical. And this nosebleed of a dive right here was pretty traumatic, to be honest with you and to be frank. And one of the things that you'll learn about me, especially throughout these videos, is I'm going to be totally upfront and honest and transparent. And we're going to talk about numbers, and we're going to talk about, the things that I did brutally wrong and the things that I did pretty well, so that you can hopefully shorten your learning curve. But I'll tell you what, it was in this time, about a 2-year period of time where we were down spinning or a downward spiral nosedive, that I learned most of my lessons, right? I didn't learn a whole lot on the way up. I enjoyed the ride on the way up, but I learned most of my lessons on the way down. And that's what I think will allow me to help other people even more, is because I collected a lot of bumps and bruises and skinned my knees really bad, and I've got a lot of scabs. And it's in those scabs that the lessons were learned, so that I can actually help more people. And then once I figured it out, we were able to kind of right the ship, and we've got a couple of employees again and so forth. So this is where I've come from in my career, and most of it was, especially in the beginning, it was just me going out and doing stuff, right? Not caring too much about the results and not worried about whether it's going to work, whatever. I just got in motion and learned so much stuff. So anyway, this is where I'm coming from, and we're just to kind of. Hopefully this is going to keep going up, right? Well, it will keep going up. I'm not going to put a hopefully on that. But what I've learned here is, really several things about business. I'm so much better at, from a business perspective, we are way more profitable now at $240,000 than we were at $320,000. But I'm more fulfilled. A lot of you know I lost, my dad died from cancer in February, and I virtually took 3 months off while he was here at our house, and our business was still running. We were still getting paid every day, and I was still, able to serve. And last June, we took the entire month off as we, just kind of drove around the country. And I mean, I don't work a whole lot, to be honest with you. I think I was telling somebody, maybe Jackie, that, I don't know when the last time was that I put in 40 hours a week. I don't work that way. I probably maybe put in 20, 30 hours or so if I really push it. I mean, I want to play. And if you could see the room that I'm in right now, right over here we've got probably like 300 Hot Wheels cars from my son, and right over there we got Legos spread out all over the place. I just love hanging out with my family and spending that time. So for me, this business is not about putting cash in the bank. It's about sustaining a lifestyle that I enjoy now. So I'm so much more well-rounded, and I just want to teach you as much as I can over the course of this video series and throughout the whole year of what I've learned that's going to help you shorten your curve but keep you in business. There are some business things, as much as I said it shouldn't be about the money, there are some business things you absolutely have to have in place. Otherwise, you're going to crash and fall and not be able to recover from it, okay? So anyway, I just want to give you a little bit of a background in terms of where we're coming from. And let's get back to this question, can you do it? As a coach, you need to have confidence. When you're confident, other people will be confident to come to you. Your confidence will be attractive. You'll emanate confidence from you when you're certain that you can help people. People will be attracted to you. But if you have those doubts and those fears, and I don't know if I can do this, then your magnet will not be very strong and you're going to repel people. You're not going to attract people. So I just want to share some of the things that I've learned over the last 5.5 years as a transformational coach that are going to help you maintain a level of confidence. Number one, this is huge. Well, all of them are huge. I'm going to probably say this is huge for everyone. Otherwise, I wouldn't be teaching it to you. Don't be a teacher in your mind. You're not here to teach people stuff. Let's be honest. What could we teach people that they don't already know? Everybody knows if you eat less and work out more, you'll probably lose some weight. If you make the phone calls, you'll probably get more business, right? People generally know what to do, but they don't know how to do those things, or they don't know how to get past their fears. So don't think that your job is to teach information. Your job is to be a guide. Especially in the transformational game, when we're talking about helping people detach from these emotional fears that they have, from the emotional attachments that are really keeping them stuck, that's creating the sabotage. Your job is to be a guide for them so they can get to the solution. And here's a really important piece. Actually, I'm going to go out of order here because this is what it goes in line with what I was just saying. The solution is found wherever the conflict is. So it's not your job to show up and find a solution in your head and give it to this person in front of you. It's your job to show up and guide them to the solutions they already have within. And any solution that you help them find from within, they're going to hold on to it more. So you're going to be able to serve them better if you guide them to someplace instead of give them your advice and so forth. And so in order to do that, if you understand this, I want you to, instead of listening to fix, I want you simply to listen to understand. Show up to understand their model of the world. Listen for the assumptions that they have in their language. Listen for which words are juicy when they say them. When you listen closely, the solutions are found within the words. The solutions are found in the emotion behind people's language. It's found in their body language. It's found in their eye movements. It's just found inside the conflict, right? So I want you to show up listening to understand them. And your best trait as a transformational coach is ferocious curiosity. Just be curious. Be so curious about what's making this person tick and where their fear is coming from and how are they holding on to their problems and how are they languaging. When you understand those things and you just curiously listen to them, being a guide is not that difficult, because basically what you're going to be doing is just turning their energy around and taking them to that internal source of knowingness that they already have inside. But most of them will never get there because they're so focused on the problem. Okay? So don't show up to fix, show up to understand. The second thing, this is huge. Second thing is I want you to have a one step ahead awareness. And what that means is I don't want you to get too caught up in what you know and what you can do or what you don't know and what you can't do. I don't want you to do what most people do, and I still do to this day, is compare yourself to the other experts, to the other coaches, to the other trainers. Don't compare yourself to what Jack Canfield can do in front of a room. The guy's been doing it for 40 years. That's not fair to you. What's important is that you're one step ahead of the people you are trying to serve. One of my favorite quotes is always remember, to a third grader, a fourth grader is a God. So what that means is whoever you're out here to help, if you're one step ahead of them, you can serve them, you can help them, you can teach them, you can be an expert in their eyes. It doesn't matter that you're an expert compared to all the other everybody else in the industry. It's a matter it matters that you're an expert because you're one step ahead of them. I want you to just understand, okay, I was in a conflict, I learned some stuff, I got through my conflict. Who's now back in that same conflict that I was in? And it doesn't matter that you haven't gotten all of your goals, it just matters that you're one step ahead of them and you can help them. So here's what I want you to remember. It's not about you being the best coach out there, it's about you serving your seeker. Serve your seeker. Who is seeking the knowledge that you have in your brain right now? Who could be served with what you know? That's what I want your focus to be on, not who else is teaching this stuff and how much better they are than I am. Because that won't help you and that won't serve them. There are people seeking you. There are people that need your guidance right now. And one of the most powerful questions I ever asked myself was at BTS in 2005, is when I got clear about what my purpose is, I asked myself this question: how many people am I not helping right now? Because I'm so hung up on what if it doesn't work and what if I'm not good enough and all these fears and how come I was looking at all the ways it won't work. And the bottom line is I wasn't helping people while I was stuck in my own stuff. So if you ever find yourself focusing on those negatives, which is a function of the brain that's going to be there, but if you find yourself getting stuck on that, ask yourself this question: who am I not helping right now? Focus on your seeker. Focus on the people that need your knowledge, and that'll help you get through and around some of those fears, okay? The third thing is, if you want to be a true transformational force, get certified, get good, get excellent at your craft. Study what it is that you want to do and become a master at it. So I want you to get certified in belief change. And I think this is hugely critical. If you truly want to transform people's lives, you've got to be a change agent for them. You can't just tell them what to do. You've got to help them move through those limiting beliefs that are holding them back. If you take a look at every piece of sabotage that anybody's doing on this planet, if you trace it down, it's going to land on a limiting belief. And there's only a few big ones out there. Most of them are around I'm not enough. And if you can understand how to help people through those belief attachments, when you can understand how to help people identify and reframe and let go of and totally, dissolve their limiting beliefs, you will literally be able to help people take the chains off of them that have been holding them captive for years and years and years. And that's when you become a transformational force in this industry and on this planet and in the lives of your seekers. So I want you to get certified in some sort of belief change. Now, there's not a whole lot out there. The one I backed into, just because it was used on me, was neuro-linguistic programming. Now, I happen to love NLP, but I didn't research, let me find a curriculum that helps people change their beliefs. That's just the one that I backed into. It's the one that was used on me. But there aren't a whole lot out there. I know Deb does phenomenal work with RIM. Most of you have experienced that. Hale Dwoskin teaches the Sedona method. I know people that teach EFT, and how that can help with belief and disconnecting some of the emotional attachments and so forth. There's not a whole lot out there, but if you want to be a transformational force, pick at least one of them and get really good at it, right? I know Deb is doing some certification in RIM. I do some certification. I'm going to teach a whole class on NLP coaching later this year. I'll tell you more about that. But find something that resonates with you and get good at it if you really want to be a transformational force on this planet. Because when you understand how to help people change their beliefs, and you can show up with that confidence and certainty that I can help you release those chains that are on you, what will happen is you'll get to the point, and this is the goal. The goal is that you get to the point where you understand them better than they even understand themselves. When you can tell somebody, oh, so this is what happened to you, And in my experience, when people deal with a divorce, or when people deal with the death of a parent, or when people are dealing with a limiting belief called I'm not enough, this is what happens to them. They generally create a coping mechanism called this. And this is the kind of love strategy that they usually have. And these are the sort of patterns that they generally create. When you can explain to people their patterns and strategies better than they even have awareness for themselves, the inherent messages, listen, if I can understand your problems better than you can understand them, then I can understand your solutions at a whole new level than you've ever even thought about. So when you can truly understand the way the human mind works and how patterns are created and strategies and values and identities, you understand all of this stuff, then you'll be able to unconsciously send the message to other people that you can help them. That's why I want you to be a master at your craft. And I want you to also, especially in the beginning of your coaching business, this is really important, is to have a framework. Meaning, if somebody is sabotaging themselves in this way, what can I do? What questions can I ask? What are some of the issues that they'll generally be dealing with, and so forth? A framework like that is really, really important. It's one of the things that totally changed my business when I put my coaching in a framework. And I generally call this the 5 targets of transformation, when I realized that people are dealing with they have language, and then they have behaviors, and then they have beliefs, and they have values, and at the core, it's their true self. When I filtered virtually all of my coaching through that framework of those 5 levels, everything shifted for me. So I want to teach you some of those frameworks. The 4th thing to help you stay confident is to clear your mirror. Jack talks about this all the time. You've got to remove any of the stuff that's that's in your way, all the cobwebs, all the emotional cobwebs that you got. Now, I want you to do that just for your own life, for your own happiness, for your own fulfillment, enjoyment. But if you want to be a transformational coach, it's important that your mirror is as clear as possible. Imagine if you're trying to shave or put on makeup or brush your teeth or whatever, and you just got out of the shower and the mirror's all foggy, right? It's very hard for you to see what you're doing in the mirror because it's foggy. But when it's clear, you can see yourself better. And when you are clear as a coach, other people can see themselves in you more because your mirror is clear. That's why so many people relate so much to Jack, is because pretty much all of us can see a piece of ourselves in him. And one of the reasons is he's transparent and he's virtually clear. Now, he's not totally through with all of his problems, nor am I, nor is anybody that I've ever met. Thankfully, it's not a prerequisite that you have a totally clear mirror before you become a coach. Otherwise, there would be no coaches. So I'm not saying you have to get there before you have permission to help people, but continually work on yourself. And as I said with the example with Jack, you'll be more relatable. People will be able to see themselves in you, and the more that people can relate to you, the more rapport that you'll have with them. And the more rapport you have with somebody, the more leverage you have with them, the more you can help them out. And in order to continue on this journey of clearing your mirror, you absolutely need to continue your own coaching conversation. You need to stay in coaching relationships as the coachee, not just as the coach. It's important for you to just be always in that environment of coaching, back and forth on both sides of the fence, so that you can continue to help your people at newer and newer levels, and just understand, yourself and so forth. And, to be honest, I think it's hypocritical and borderline fraudulent to sell coaching services if you're not experiencing coaching yourself as well. So stay in a coaching environment or relationship, both for your business, but also just for your own personal life, so you can continue to be happy and fulfilled and so forth. And the last thing I want to talk about, this one's pretty self-explanatory, because really the only way that you can pack on more and more confidence is to practice. You just got to keep going. What I find is that so many people don't want to get going until they're ready. So they spend their whole life or their whole career getting ready. We've got a lot of people in that get ready phase. But getting ready, it will never get you to the point where you're actually helping people. You've got to get going, right? So there's a lot of important things for you to know when you get your business going, but the most important thing is to get going, right? It doesn't matter how much balance you have, you're not going to be able to balance yourself on a bicycle unless you pedal. unless you pedal. And the faster you pedal, the less balance you actually need, because a lot of the balance comes in just the pedaling. It comes in just the motion. When I did a lot of big numbers and had a bunch of success in 2007, it was just because I was doing stuff. I was out there, I was trying a bunch of things. I wasn't concerned about what was going to work, what wasn't going to work. I was just moving. Now, I don't want you to be as haphazard as I was, right? I want you to have a little bit more intention and strategy than I did so that you can avoid the huge nosedive. But you've got to get in motion, you got to practice, you got to get out there and just practice your craft. You're going to be a better coach next year than you are now. You're going to be a much better coach in 5 years from now than you are next year. But don't let that stop you from getting in motion. Now, if you really want to shorten your learning curve, then continue to learn from other people's experiences. Continue to network with other coaches. Be in that coaching relationship like I talked about. Learn from other coaches who've come before you, who've learned from other people before them, who've made mistakes, who've figured some stuff out. The more that you can learn from other people, the more that you're going to be able to shorten your learning curve. And that's one of the most significant things that I did early on is I got coaching. And people were telling me what to do, and I was able to borrow the confidence from people that have come before me. And they were, giving me ideas that I wasn't coming up with on my own, but they were also supporting me. And one of the things that will absolutely kill your business is lack of certainty. If you don't know what to do next, if you don't know what to say on that brochure or how to put up a website, or you don't know where your market is, or you don't know what message you should put out there, if you don't know, and there's any kind of uncertainty, your business is almost doomed. I'm going to say it is doomed until you remove the uncertainty, until you can get certain in your body and your message, what you're here to do, who you're here to serve. Until you can get certain, your business will stall. And so it's about getting to that place of certainty as quickly as you can, especially in the earlier phases of your business, so that you can show up authentically, transparently, and ultimately serve your seekers. So hopefully this video has served you on some level. Post a comment down below on anything you particularly liked, or ask any questions about any of this stuff. And I briefly mentioned I will be offering a coaching program starting this year, and I'm really going to offer it only to the trainer folks beginning early part of this year. And if you have any interest whatsoever in learning NLP and learning a coaching framework and learning some of the marketing, then do this on the form here. No, actually, why don't you send me an email? So just send me a direct email to Sean@CoachSeanSmith.com, and Sean is S-E-A-N. And I want you to tell me 4 things. I want you to tell me what your purpose is, what your life purpose is. I want you to tell me where you are right now. In other words, do you have coaching clients? Is this something that you want to start? Have you been coaching for 5 years? Are you speaking, training? Tell me where you are now. Tell me where you want to be. What are your goals for the next year and for the next 5 years? Just give me a little bit of vision. And then number 4, tell me what some of your biggest fears and frustrations are. We can begin that conversation, and I'll serve you however I can. So I hope you enjoy the rest of these videos. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'll be talking to you real soon.